So now we've got a match review to do. Okay, EvilEmpire, are you still in the chat? Alright, talk to me. Tell me about this match. Looks like we're on the ladder. You said that you're playing Jund Control. Or Jund Food. And we're in a historic event going for 5 wins. Okay, cool. I'm going to put the playback speed up a little bit. You think the sideboarding was the problem? Okay. Let's give this a go. So your first mistake is being on the draw. Nice opening hand. What? You kept this? Oh, okay. Sorry. Just the... Never mind. The animation there made it look like you kept that hand. Alright. So we mull to 6, which is reasonable. Keep cat oven, which is reasonable. Bottom the cat, which I think is fine. We're mulliganing and we're on the draw, so I think we want to keep the most powerful thing that we can do, which is Corvold plus the cat oven combo. There's some consideration here for just bottoming a land, but I think putting back the cat is probably fine. Knowing that we're trying to get to 5 mana as quickly as possible. Drawing Thoughtseize. Okay, so I've watched you play, and I have a feeling that Thoughtseize is coming on turn 1 here. So we see Rogren Tiam, so we know we're probably up against Jeskai here, right? So what are you afraid of on turn 2? Is there something that you absolutely must Thoughtseize here? So I can't think of anything. Like, what's the worst thing that they can do on turn 1? They can search. In the very worst case, they could be like Jeskai Control and have Rest in Peace. But this is game 1. It's unlikely they have Rest in Peace in the main board. It is, it is a historic event. You see weirder stuff in those than you do on the ladder. But I think like the worst thing that can happen to you is they find a way to counter your oven or something, right? I think like probably what you want to do is you want to Thoughtseize and make sure that Prismari Command doesn't kill your oven, because that's like the worst case scenario for you. And the only other thing, like, search is not going to be a problem. Like, you win the long game, I think. With the cat oven in hand, as long as you can make the oven stay on the board. I'm not worried about search here. I think I'm playing the oven on 1 and saying go. I suppose there's an argument, like, if they have memory lapse, right? If you play Witch's Oven here, and then they play untapped land, say go, you Thoughtseize, they lapse the Thoughtseize, and then they have Prismari Command, they can kill the oven. But we're on a mulligan. 1-for-1 trades are bad for us, given that we're on a mulligan, so that makes Thoughtseize a little worse than usual. I think you just play the Witch's Oven here. But you love your discard spells. So I think you probably Thoughtseize here. No, you did the right thing. You did what I would have done. You played the Witch's Oven. Good. So why did you shock in the Overgrown Tomb for the Witch's Oven then, instead of playing the Forest untapped? I guess the idea is that you wanted to, if you drew an untapped black source, then you wanted to be able to play both the cat and the Thoughtseize the following turn. In fact, maybe that's a reason to play the Thoughtseize on turn 1, so that you're not bottlenecked on black the next turn, if you think you must Thoughtseize on turn 2. And maybe you do have to, because Magma Opus into Mizzix Mastery is such a threat. So opponent shocks in and foretells. So foretelling is interesting. Probably Behold the Multiverse, I would guess. We don't draw the untapped black. So now the question here is, do we Thoughtseize them or do we play the cat? You think it's a saw coming. Do you have a reason that you think it's a saw coming? Like, have you seen this list or something before? I think it's the cat. I don't think that there's a serious threat on turn 3. Like, what are they going to play? They can play Narset, or they can play... You played the game. Okay. I mean, you have me at a disadvantage. I don't think I've seen many of these lists actually saw it coming because they just have memory lapse. But like I said, historic event, weird things happen. I think I play the cat. If they play Narset, then the cat can at least attack it down. We start draining them a little faster. It sucks if we don't Thoughtseize and they have Prismari Command. But I think we need to get the cat in play. But I don't think playing Thoughtseize is terrible. I just think playing the cat is right. Alright, so we Thoughtseize, we see Lightning Helix, Brazen Borrower, Iteration, and Teferi. So no lands in hand. I think this is an easy Expressive Iteration. Yeah, I don't think this is particularly hard. Even if they draw the land and they Brazen Borrower the Oven, they still don't have the mana to cast Lightning Helix on your cat. This has got to be Expressive Iteration. Nothing else makes sense. And we take Teferi. Okay. So, if that Foretold card is a Behold the Multiverse, maybe you can convince yourself to take Teferi there. But I don't buy it. I think it's got to be Iteration and try to stick them on land here. Like, Lightning Helix is such a terrible play for them here. Okay. I'm going to play the tap land, say go. Yeah. Alright, so they don't find the land, which is pretty cool. So they exile Shark Typhoon. And okay, so they had a land off the top. Now they're on 3 lands. We see that they have a face-up. We have 2 face-up Lightning Helixes and a Brazen Borrower. Phyrexian Tower seems really, really good. Because that's going to let us cast Corvold. So here it's just Cat, right? Cat plus... I don't even think we played the Phyrexian Tower here. I think we play Cat plus one of our other untapped lands to hide that we can possibly play Corvold next turn. Brazen Borrower on the Cat sucks, obviously, because we just sack it to the Oven. They could have untapped land, Brazen Borrower the Oven, and Lightning Helix the Cat. Okay. So given that, I think we play the Phyrexian Tower. Because then even if they bounce the Oven... Actually, I think you're still in a commanding spot here. I'm not worried about anything. I don't think it matters much which land you play. I think this is fine. If you play the Phyrexian Tower, I'm not going to get mad. I think that's fine, too. Relic of Progenitus. Okay. That's annoying, but it's not the hardest thing in the world to play around. Because we already have the Thoughtseize in the bin. This I don't like at all. Doing this in response doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, talk to me. Why crack the cat in response to the relic here? Like, the best part of having the cat oven combo is that you get to do it in response to the threat. And, like, now if you bring back the cat end of turn, which you do want to do because you want to start attacking them down, they can just Lightning Helix you. Or they can even Brazen Borrower with a food, which would be kind of nasty. No, and you can just bring the cat back in response. Okay, this isn't as bad as it looks. It's just a weird play. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Actually, this is pretty awful here, right? If you don't bring back the cat here, you only have 1 food in play. So then when you bring back the cat, they can exile the entire graveyard in response and you lose it altogether. So probably the best thing to do actually was just to not run the cat oven cycle this turn at all. To guarantee that you'd have a creature on the field to play the Phyrexian Tower and play Corvold. Wow, okay. So that play from the opponent doesn't make a whole lot of sense either, right? Like, they've got you by the balls there. If you try to bring the cat back into play. Yeah, that... And hang on, why did we bring back the cat in response to the relic trigger? Because we have a Thoughtseize in the bin, right? We can just exile the Thoughtseize. This is not a threat. Like, the cat is not in danger here. And if we bring back the cat with the food next turn, with the Phyrexian Tower in play, then if they target it with Lightning Helix, then you can sack it in response to the Phyrexian Tower. Sacrifice it in response with the Phyrexian Tower, and you'll have the mana for Corvold. Which it looks like they're going to have a hell of a time beating. And we chose to exile the cat? Okay. Well, I mean, you don't need me to beat you up for that one. That doesn't... But obviously that doesn't make sense. When we could have exiled the Thoughtseize. Okay, so Trail of Crumbs is like one of the best possible draws here, right? This seems like Trail of Crumbs... Yeah, it's Trail of Crumbs land, and unfortunately we don't quite have the mana to crack the food and draw off of this turn, so we just have 2 mana going to waste, but, you know, c'est la vie. Alright, yeah. Again, by the way, if we had the cat in the graveyard, we wouldn't have this problem, right? Like, bringing the cat back with the trail, we would have been able to draw off the top. So opponent plays Searcher's Kanta. And we draw another Oven. So here we have the option to just play Corvold. If we play the Corvold, they can bounce it in response with the Brazen Borrower. And we don't get to... Like, with the sacrifice trigger on the stack. We can sacrifice the Corvold and draw our card. Like, sack it with the Oven. That doesn't seem great. Like, I almost just would rather play Land Oven. Land Oven, buy Gigantha, and eat the food on their turn and draw a card off the trail. In fact, maybe we do that on our turn in case we draw a cat. That seems like the way to go. Right, so we have 5 mana here, we play the land, we play the Oven, we have 4 mana, we buy Gigantha, and we have... we don't have enough to do that. Probably just not buy Gigantha then and eat the food. And then so eat the food, find the cat, and try to play it with 2 Ovens in play and just win. The other thing is that, like, we seem confident at this point that they have saw it coming. Like, it's not Behold the Multiverse. So, like, I think at this point, playing Corvold is kind of suicide. But we go for it. And it resolves. I guess because the opponent knows that they can bounce it. Yeah, sure. So now, like this turned out pretty badly, right? Now we have to sacrifice a permanent, which we didn't want to do. We won't have the mana to replay Corvold. And at that point, like, maybe it was better to just sack the Corvold to the Oven. Get 2 foods. And then draw off of them with the trail on our turn. Because, like, we have 2 Ovens in hand. If we find a cat, then we're in business. You sack the Oven? So, like, you're in a rough spot. Like, that's true. Like, if you sacking the Oven here is the... Like, at this point, you're definitely behind, right? Like, you have to decide what's the most... What gets you back in the game? And is it playing another Corvold? And I think the answer is no, because we're pretty sure they have a counterspell. It's not Behold the Multiverse, or they would have cast it by now. So, like, putting Corvold in your hand again and casting it next turn, they just counter it, and you've done nothing. So, I think the right play is there is to actually, once you've played the Corvold, is to sacrifice the Corvold to the Oven and try to find a cat. Because even if they counter the cat, you have the food to cycle it back and forth, which will let you draw off the trail and get back into the game. I think sacking the Oven is probably the worst possible thing you could have done. Found another cat. I found another trail. Didn't consider playing it. I think playing the trail would have been a pretty good here, honestly. They activate the relic in response because, sure. Ooh, and Mystical Dispute. That sucks. There's like that came off the top. There's no way they had that. But it is kind of like the worst case because it's their worst card against you by a mile. And now, yeah. I guess the other thing is the Trail of Crumbs plays around that. Like, if you cast Trail of Crumbs, you can pay for the dispute. But they would have just cast Saw It Coming. So you would have cast Trail of Crumbs, they would have cast Saw It Coming, you could have cracked the food and drawn off the trail. Playing angry here, yeah. It's like, their draw hasn't been that great either, right? Like, they're stuck on 4 lands. Search, like I said, hasn't really done anything. Which is why I was against playing Thoughtseize on turn 1, which you didn't do, but, like, just calling back to that. They keep on top with Search, which is never what you want to see, but hopefully it just means they found a land. They kept on top with Search, and it wasn't a land. So what does that mean? I don't know what you would keep on top. I'm really baffled. Would you keep, like, Mizzix's Mastery? Like, they're playing Relic instead of Rest in Peace, which makes me think that they are actually a Mizzix's Mastery, like, Magma Opus deck. That's gotta be it, right? Like, what else could it be? It's Teferi. Okay, I'll take your word for it. I would probably bin Teferi in the opponent's spot there. So here we play the Trail of Crumbs. I'm sure it gets countered. Yep. We play the Oven. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I was thinking maybe there was some reason to before you play the Oven to eat the food and pay for the trail. In case there's another 1-drop you would have wanted to play. Like, you can't hit Thoughtseize off trail, so that's not an option. It would have to be, like, exactly Oven, in which case the sequencing doesn't matter, or Cat, in which case I think you'd still want to play the Oven anyway. So I think that's fine, playing the Oven first. We buy... Wait, did we buy Giganta? Is Giganta... I forget, is Giganta in our hand at this point, or is he in exile? I think he's in exile. Yeah. You didn't buy Giganta. We're holding up trail. I think that's right. Yep. Okay. Alright, well. Not much you can do here. And they flip his Kanta, so now we're really on a clock here. I mean, as draws go, the Goose is pretty good. So does it matter which order we play these things in? A little, right? Like, if we play the Goose and we eat the food, we might find, like, Mayhem Devil, which we would probably prefer to cast here to Giganta. Yeah. Okay. By the way, watch your taps. It doesn't matter here, but having untapped black is much more valuable than having untapped red or green in case you do somehow find... Why are we scooping? Why are we scooping here? I mean, we're behind, right? But I don't know that it's that. And how did you know it was Teferi? Oh, okay. Now in chat you're not sure. You forget, but you think they land him here. Is this your worst mistake? I don't think this was your worst mistake. I think the worst mistake was exiling the cat to the relic when you had the choice not to. Okay, so... Oh, man. All these Japanese arts, I don't remember what these cards are. Alright, so we're up against Jeskai, so we have 2 copies of Duress, which is great. You can probably give some thought to Soul Guide Lantern. We have Clothis. Gadrak. So why is Gadrak even in the sideboard? What is this for? Like, what matchup does the Gadrak even come in? And what is that, what's this? This 1 in a black spell. I can't tell what that is. Doomblade, okay. And this is Claim the Firstborn. So we bring in 2 Thoughtseizes, we bring in 2 Duresses, we bring in Clothis. So that's 5. Scorching Dragonfire can come out. They have Sharks, so like we're a little reluctant to take out the Fatal Pushes. I think I like trimming... I think I like trimming a Binding, cutting the Scorching Dragonfire, cutting the 2 Fatal Pushes, and trimming a single Corvold, and bringing in the 4 discard spells and the Clothis. Because we've still seen... You know, it's weird. Like, we saw that they had Relic, but we didn't see any other spells to recur from the graveyard. So maybe the reason they're playing Relic instead of Rest in Peace is just because they're playing Search for Azcanta and they don't want to play both. So I think it's justifiable to bring in Clothis here, because Clothis is just good independently of whether they use their graveyard. It's a sticky threat that's hard for them to deal with and will just eventually kill them. Puts them on a clock. It's like Cindervines used to be. And I think I'm okay not bringing in Soul Guide Lantern until I see them use their graveyard in some useful way. Like, just as a way to not flip Azcanta, I don't think is enough. So what do you think of that? What do you think? We cut a Corvold, we cut a Binding, we cut both pushes, we cut the Dragonfire, we're bringing the 4 discard spells and the Clothis. I'm deliberately asking you this before I see what you do. It's close to what you do? Okay. So in come the Duresses, in come the Soul Guide Lanterns, in comes Clothis. Cut the Fatal Pushes. Cut the cats. Cutting the cats is insane. Claim? Okay, so let's summarize. What did we do? We cut 3 ovens. We brought in a claim. We brought in the discard spells. We cut all 4 cats. So this seems nuts. I'm not picking on you. You always cut cat game 2. Okay, you need to explain that one to me. Why do you always cut cat game 2? Because it's like one of your best cards. They have ways to exile or kill oven. Like what? Like they have Prismari Command. What other ways do they have to kill the oven? In Jeskai colors. Well, Rest in Peace, they've already showed us that they don't really want to play. Like, they're playing Relic in the main deck, so I think it's kind of unlikely that they have Rest in Peace. They have Soul Guide Lantern, but Soul Guide Lantern, by the way, is not very good against Cat, right? Because if the Cat's ever in the graveyard, it's usually because you have food. So you can, in response to the Soul Guide trigger, bring the Cat back into play. So it's like just Prismari Command. And if they don't have Prismari Command, it's practically impossible for them to interact with this. Not to mention, like, Witch's Oven is really good against their plays like Lightning Helix or something too, right? Like, if you get a Mayhem Devil in play, which is another reason, by the way, that you absolutely must keep these cards in like, every matchup. It turns off their life gain from the Lightning Helix. I think your results with this deck will get a lot better if you just never, ever cut Witch's Oven and Cauldron Familiar. Like, it is the main, like, the core strength of the deck and why it's so good. Gadrak doesn't make sense, by the way, as well. I'm not sure why Gadrak came in. Especially when you're cutting your artifacts. Like, and your ability to create food. Yeah. Okay. Alright, game 2. On the play, double Thoughtseize, Trail of Crumbs. This is great. Keep this, right? All we want now is a goose. Alright, so we Thoughtseize and we see Dovin's Veto, Helix, Timely Reinforcements, and Absorb. So what's the take here? Their hand's very reactive. We're going to get to play the Trail of Crumbs on 2 no matter what. You're thinking, what stops Corvold? Take Absorb? I think you're right. I think on the draw, I would take Veto, just to make sure that I get my Trail of Crumbs to resolve. Their counterspells are not that big a threat to you, because you do have the second Thoughtseize in hand. But the rest of their hand is just so bad that I think it's fine to take Absorb here. It's just their best general purpose spell. There might be a world where you take Lightning Helix, because if you draw, like, a Goose, the Goose with the Trail of Crumbs is just so good that if you can get that down around their counter magic with another Thoughtseize, then maybe you just, like, maybe they can't kill the Goose, and you'll just get a ton of value off of that. But I think taking Absorb is fine. Taking Lightning Helix, I think, is really aggressive, but you can make an argument for it. Yeah, I think this is right. Hallowed Fountain tapped. Clothis. Okay, everything's coming up Millhouse here. So we can either play Trail of Crumbs here, or we can Thoughtseize. So we desperately want to land Clothis next turn, is what I'm thinking here, right? If we play Trail of Crumbs, they play untapped land, say go. Clothis still resolves around the Dovin's Veto. So how, like, the only way Clothis doesn't resolve is if they rip, like, negate, or not even negate, memory lapse off the top, and, like, that's pretty much it. Yeah, okay, so we just play Trail here. Yep, Trail's right, I'm pretty sure. When it shocks in for Dovin's Veto, and we just, yeah, slam Clothis. Plays tap land. We draw land. And we Thoughtseize them again. Okay. Is there a reason to Thoughtseize here? Like, you really want Corvold to resolve it at all costs, and you're thinking maybe they drew a Sot coming or something, and you're not gonna, and you want to play it on turn 5. Okay. So if that's your line, then I'm guessing we take Doomscar here. I can buy it. I think that's fine. Taking Doomscar, I think, is interesting. It's weird that they didn't veto this. I guess they're worried about, like, Mayhem Devil, right? Like, they think, okay, if Thoughtseize takes Veto, we can, and we play Mayhem Devil, they can Lightning Helix. Otherwise, they get to hold up the Veto for something later in the game. Alright, I like Doomscar here, given the Corvold in hand. And I think this is fine, holding up the Trail of Crumbs to draw. Ooh, okay. Now, one thing you could have done, you could have bought Gigantha, and kept the food around for when Corvold is on the board. And that draws an extra card. It also makes your Mayhem Devil better. Opponent's kind of doing your work for you by shocking in so much. What do we sack? Just the land, right? We'll probably sack the forest. I'm not sure I like sacking the Trail of Crumbs there. Like, yeah, I don't think I like sacking the Trail of Crumbs there. I think you have so much land already. No, it doesn't matter this coup. You were probably completely winning anyway. Like, their hand is completely reactive, and the Colossus alone, they probably just don't have a good answer for. Like, the only thing we saw was Brazen Borrower, and even that's not a permanent answer. Alright, so do we change anything in the sideboarding here? Doesn't look like it. Okay, we take out the Gadrak, which makes sense. Like, it's definitely even worse on the draw than it is on the play. We bring in Fatal Push. So, obviously, I can't hear your thought process right now. Why the Fatal Push? Are we just worried about a Shark token? Hmm. I don't think we care that much about the Sharks, honestly. Like, we're not going to kill them with direct damage. The shark isn't gonna block. We have core holds that are going to get super big. I guess a shark could like protect a planeswalker. I don't like it. I think the sideboarding here is the same on the play and on the draw. It's what we said earlier. I think like trading the Gadrak for the Fatal Push is a good change. Like I think your boarding for game 3 was better than for game 2. All right, so we have Duress, Thoughtseize, Colossus. Okay. It's not like in our top like 10% of hands, but it's good enough. Wow, their hand sucks. Easy saw it coming here, right? No? We don't take saw it coming? Talk to me. Why did we take Lightning Helix here? Wasn't well thought out. Okay. Like, Lightning Helix is easily their worst card, right? And we don't even have a creature that it hits. Yeah, I think Saw It Coming is clearly the way to go there. They foretell... Yeah, especially because of that. That didn't even occur to me, but like the ability to foretell the Saw It Coming and take it away from your Thoughtseize when their hand is all lands, yeah. And this kind of sucks, actually, now, because now your Thoughtseize is dead, and they're going to counter your Colossus, and you've got nothing else. I guess this is fine. There's Search. Okay, so they've drawn out of this. You're playing super fast, by the way. I've watched your YouTube videos. I think one of the things that you could really benefit from is slowing down. Like this is a little bit sped up, but like this whole match took 17 minutes, and it's a control versus Jund mirror, like a control versus Jund matchup. Like this, I feel like you're not really taking as much time as you could to think through the plays, and it's leading to stuff like this. By the way, everyone who's in chat right now, definitely do go check out EvilEmpire on YouTube. Feel free to drop your YouTube link in the chat, because it is good content. So what do we do here? So I kind of like jamming Binding here. As weird as that sounds, but like, we know this card is Saw It Coming. The card that we want to resolve here is Colossus. Casting Binding on the Search either kills the Search, which is excellent for us, or it draws out the Saw It Coming, and we get to resolve Colossus next turn, which also manages their graveyard and stops them from flipping Search so easily. It does mean that we're like one turn short on casting Corvold, like by sacking the food, it'll take a little longer. But we don't want to run the Corvold to the Saw It Coming anyway. Yeah, I like Binding here. And that is indeed what we do. Good job. Yep. And they play Castle. And what do we do here? I like Corvold here. This game was such a tilt, so that makes me feel like you like they ripped the counterspell here. Like they did bin with the Search for Wisconsin, so you have no reason to believe this card is any good. I think Corvold is the best play. Just force him to have an answer. If you untap with Corvold, you win. That's not the same. The same is not true with Glothus. Yeah, I think Corvold's right. Oh no, we play Glothus, which does let us make a food with the goose. It's really not going for the throat here though. With only one unknown card. Prismari Command, yeah. And this is going to let them flip their Search for Wisconsin anyway. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Corvold is right. Like, if you have a Corvold in play here... Oh wow, they even discarded a Baffling End. I think you're in much better shape. And oh... Yeah, and now Corvold looks terrible, doesn't it? Because they found Narset. And they have Prismari Command to Mind Rot you, so you're in really rough shape now. So, like, we just want to empty our hand here, I guess. So, we can do that. Ugh. Yeah, I think it does. I'm toying with the idea of exiling a land to get the extra mana so that you can play the Corvold and the Fabled Passage and the Soul Guide Lantern without cracking the passage in between to give them a window to Prismari Command. But yeah, no, I think it has to be. We just have to get them dead. Yeah. This sucks. Like, Corvold here not drawing a card feels so bad. But at least you can Fabled Passage crack on their turn. Yeah, that was a reason to go for the land, because then you can play the Soul Guide Lantern and Fabled Passage crack on their turn to draw the card. Wait. What did we sacrifice? We sacrificed the food, which again, is wrong. And we cracked the Fabled Passage on our turn to get the Soul Guide Lantern in play, which is, like, fine. And there's Teferi. So this game is over. Yeah, I think there was the possibility that we would rip Mayhem Devil here. We could sacrifice the Soul Guide Lantern, kill the Narset, draw the card with the Soul Guide Lantern, and maybe go off from there. But Goose isn't going to be good enough. Save the match you win for next week. Okay. Is that going in your YouTube video? Yeah, now they're drawing with his Kanta twice per turn. Probably should have cracked the Soul Guide Lantern on their turn. Not that it really matters, but we would have been able to draw the card off of it. And would be able to play Corvold this turn. I guess it didn't matter because they were going to Prismari Command anyway. And Mind Rot away the card. And they show us the Rest in Peace. Wow. Okay. Man, doesn't that feel dumb? So having Soul Guide Lantern in against the deck that finally shows you Rest in Peace on like the last turn of the game. Okay. Sure, that's awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing your game, Evil Empire. That's I appreciate you doing that. That was a lot of fun. If in the chat, if you like this kind of thing, let me know. If you don't like this kind of thing, let me know. But I enjoy watching other people's games and talking about them.